Thank you for joining us. Now, we will come back to that at the conclusion of this session. But I'd encourage all of you to think about what is your magic and how do we unlock that magic? How do we unlock the power of your unicorn? Because each and every one of you have a unicorn, whether it's in your head, whether it's in your heart, or whether it's in your soul, and it is waiting to burst out, and the world is waiting for you to share that power, that magic, that value, that unicorn. But before we go there, each and every one of you have this magic that is unique, that is different. So think about that. But as we move now, let's pull back and let's look at how is the world changing and how that impacts our ability to unlock the unicorn. In 2013, Elon Musk was asked, "What is your greatest fear?" Elon's response was, "Can we learn and are we learning as fast as the world is changing?" So I have a question for the audience today, and that is, what is and where is the oldest company in the world? Anybody know? Anybody want to hazard a guess? Just shout it out if you know, if you want to take a guess. What and where? Anyone? GE? No. Not even close. Give it another millennia and maybe you got it. Yes, sorry. Sorry? Church. Close. If you consider a church a company. Depends on where you are on that side of it. Let me help you out here. The oldest company in the world is Oshirokan from 718. That's almost 1,300 years old. Now, while Japan has over 1,000 companies that are over 100 years old, my friends, the world is changing. Did you know that over the last 100 years, from 1920 to today, the average lifespan of a publicly listed company in the S&P 500 has collapsed from 67 years in 1920 to just 15 years today? The most innovative companies today generate in excess of 25% of their revenues from products that didn't exist 3 years ago. The fourth largest money market fund in the world, multi-trillion-dollar money market fund, did not exist 18 months ago. The world is changing, and the need for us to be able to create that future has never been more profound. And if we stay at that macro level and look at corporations, organizations around the world, the future fundamentally comes down to how humans and technology come together. And the two guiding principles for designing and creating that future, principles, I believe, come down to only two things. And that is that people, in our world, we look at customers, clients, and colleagues. Those people want to be able to not just go digital, they want to be able to DIY. They want to be able to do things themselves. We all want to be able to do it ourselves. That's one guiding principle. In corporations today, many are saying we need to be digital first, mobile first. It's not just about digital first and mobile first. It's about digital DIY. It's the ability to secure a loan in our world in a matter of 7 taps and 45 seconds. And it's increasingly moving as humans engage with technology from where we used to be able to walk out, we used to have to physically walk out of our home or our premises to go complete a transaction or an engagement, to the wired web where we were tied to a fixed terminal, to where we went to mobility, to now wearables. One can argue that embeddables are coming. But we're increasingly moving to a world of hands-free compute. We will very quickly be in a world, we are in a world, for those of it experienced the Amazon Echo in the United States, know that we're operating in a world where you can engage with computers while cutting tomatoes in the kitchen and ask Alana, an increasingly humanized artificial intelligence, what the weather's going to be like in San Francisco. Can you please bring up my favorite James Brown? And Alana, knowing you, knowing your schedule, can tell you and respond to you. We'll move to a world where very quickly you can be able to predict and say, I'd like to purchase that car, that bicycle, that house. The machine, the computer behind the engines, while you're speaking with it through your voice print recognition, will be able to tell you things you didn't know, and you'll be able to complete transactions in a matter of seconds for free. The second guiding principle for designing and creating the future, if not DIY, it's about shared experiences. It's about people wanting to share experience, and we're increasingly placing a premium on that human-to-human interaction. Think about the music industry, and where is money made in the music industry today? It is in concerts. It is in that in-person experience. And every industry will place a premium on that. Now, yesterday we had the privilege of having a great session on the environment and discussion around CO2. I'm personally passionate about C2O. And that is the shift from closed to open systems, closed to open autonomous networks, closed to open innovation. Because if there are two principles for how you design an organization, there are three hows of how you create a future organization. We don't have time to go into the first two, which is organic creation, awakening that creation within an organization. The second is buying it in. The third, and increasingly, the world is shifting to open innovation, open creation, in true reciprocity. Now, there's a lot of skeptics out there that say that this can't be done, but let me just give you just a couple of minutes as to what we're doing at Barclays on this, because I think it brings it to life. We've created an open innovation platform that we call RISE, where we're lighting up local innovation ecosystems, connecting local innovation ecosystems, bringing governments, academia, industry, and startups together in true reciprocity and true co-creation, like has never been done before. And yes, we encounter skeptics. Yes, there are a lot that say, oh, you're a banker. You've got a vested interest in this. You're evil. We hear that. And we accept that point of view. But we're breaking through that, because at the very fabric of every ecosystem is value and trust. And this can only be done through true reciprocity. But let me give you three quick examples of how this is happening. How deep pockets of governments, industry, are coming and working with the empty pockets of startups in co-creation. Three examples that have come out of the Barclays Accelerator in London that we started 2.5 years ago and is recognized around the world as the world's leading fintech accelerator. Some of you may have heard about the Diamond Lady on the blockchain. Blockchain is a new technology, not relatively new technology, that is fundamentally has the potential of changing every industry. Some say it's the next internet. Leanne Kemp is taking the 40 metadata points on the diamond at the point of origin and embedding them into an immutable blockchain, which essentially means it can transform and change the Kimberley process and eradicate blood diamonds, fundamentally changing an industry. The second is Sean from StockFuse, looking at talent in an entirely different way. So now it's more about, through a game, tens of thousands of students around the world can engage in a gamified talent process and be selected based on their capabilities, not where they're from and not what school they went to, but providing a platform that is open. And we with StockFuse have created a global game and had tens of thousands of students engaging on it. The last one is Franz van Ursel of Dupe. Franz and the team saw that in Egypt, 90% of the people in Egypt make less than $6,000 a year. And they don't have a bank account. So we've partnered with Franz and the team, and in the coming weeks, you'll see some very exciting announcements, taking a cloud-based payroll system to create a bank for the unbanked in Egypt. Startups working with startups and empty pockets, working with one of the world's leading financial institutions, deep pockets, in true reciprocity. It's happening. But let me tell you about Marion. I met Marion 3 years ago on a bus trip from Nairobi to some of the remote parts of Kenya. Marion's a young Muslim woman who founded Wanda Organic, seeking to preserve the sacred soil of Kenya by infusing a new technology that she found in the Philippines, infusing bioorganic material into fertilizer that fundamentally increases the yield of crops by up to threefold. But you know what this young Muslim woman was asked every time she went to meet with someone? Not every time. But we know what she was asked when she went to meet with some of the pillars of this industry, some of the people that could open the door and allow her to change the world. She was asked, sorry, it was already up there, I guess. She was asked that question. If I could go back one slide. It's not showing up. She was asked, "Where is your husband?" She would walk in, she would sit down amongst a group of men and be asked the question, "It's a great idea, Marion, but where's your husband?" Marion is living her dream. She has recognized an inner power within herself, and she is breaking down barriers. And I would love to tell you a lot more about Marion's story. But I gain true inspiration from Marion and what she's accomplishing in her passion and bringing her power and sharing her power and magic with the world to create the future of agriculture. So we're seeking disruptors and creators to create the future as to how the world is changing. Now, when I was 9 years old, my brother and I started our first company. I placed value. I ascribed the value of what we had created solely based on how many packs of Big League Chew bubblegum we could buy. That's where I personally ascribed value at that age. Now, while my value and belief system has evolved since then, and it's not just about bubblegum anymore, I would challenge each of you to think about, what is your value system? Where is it that you ascribe value? Because when you come to that realization as to what your magic is and what your value is, it's important that you understand that. And as you progress, don't be a runner. Be a creator. If you go to many of the business schools around the world today, they'll encourage you to go get a P&L, to run a business. If the statistics at the beginning of this presentation doesn't highlight the need for creators and the evolution of the world, I would suggest, based on my limited experience, that the learning process that comes from creation is far more powerful than the learning experience that comes from running. Next, get your act together. So early on in my career, I happened to walk into I had a meeting set up with the chief marketing officer of the business I was working in, a startup at the time. A gentleman by the name of Ben Brake and the chief marketing officer of Juniper Financial. Ben was a seasoned executive. I had a great personal relationship with Ben, and I walked into that meeting ill-prepared and seeking to leverage a personal relationship to help me get my job done. Ultimately, projecting my lack of experience, my lack of preparedness to get Ben to help me do my job. And what came out of that was Ben patiently walking through with me what needed to be done. But at the very end of it, he said something that has fundamentally shaped my life. And that was, Derek, this is good work. But next time you come to my office, get your shit together. Every younger generation is consistently challenged and said not to show respect. One of the greatest ways that we show respect, individual to individual, human to human, is to have our act together when we meet. Simple, simple principles. Now, the next principle is as if. Not this as if. But when I was a child, and the greatest advice my father has given me is a mindset of as if. If you want to be successful, if you want to be a great public speaker, if you want to be the best programmer in the world, then act as if, think as if, be as if you already are. Because what you think, what you are, what's inside of you, that's how you carry yourself. That's how you project yourself. If you have inner confidence, if you know what your magic is, if you know what your power is, that projects. People get it. People see it. Have any of you ever met that one person that when they walk in the room, you don't have to see them, but you can kind of just feel it because they're there? They have that magic. They have that power, and much of that comes to self-actualization, realizing who they are. Because the real you, who knows the real you? You have the opportunity to choose your path. It's right in front of you. And you define your destiny. You define the real you. Every day is a new day. No matter what happened yesterday, if your boyfriend dumped you, if you bombed a test, if you fundamentally failed in a presentation. When I was working with a team to create one of the biggest innovations that Barclays has had in the last decade, I presented at our chief executive officer on the 31st floor of our world headquarters 3 times and failed miserably every single time. You're going in with a digital product and the Wi-Fi didn't work. We had tested it 20 times. And you go to present something to him and it didn't work. But you know what? I walked out of that with an executive that was supporting me, and I knew that every day, every moment is a new moment. Every dollar you spend, every moment, you are creating your future. And it doesn't matter what happened over there, because over here is a new day. And you control that. No one else does. But in your life, you will find game changers. Jocelyn Stewart is one of my game changers. Jocelyn was my original boss's boss. My first real boss's boss out of college. And for anybody that knows Jocelyn Stewart, if you were to know her, you would recognize what a huge accomplishment it is to just have Jocelyn on that screen. To find a picture of her, to be able to share with you all, she's a game changer for me. Why? Because I was a young kid just out of college, and she opened doors in my mind I didn't know were there. She gave me confidence I didn't know I had in myself. You will find game changers, but more importantly, you don't seek them out. They will find you when you know yourself, when you know your magic, when you project and carry that magic with you, and you share that magic. But then once you know that, it is your obligation to pay it forward. You have to. So what are you waiting for? If you know it, then get on with it. Giddy up, people, come on. Or as they say in Arabic, yalla yalla. Because each of us has a magic that's waiting to be unleashed. The world is waiting for you to share. So, I would ask each of you, what is your unicorn? And how do you unlock your unicorn? Now, in conclusion, can we do one last experience? And then we'll open it up to Q&A if we still have some time. These have been some nice thoughts, and you've had some absolutely inspirational time here. Can I ask everyone to stand? Now, as I work with bankers all over the world, there's a mindset that exists. But we go through a cleansing process whenever we begin a creation. And I'm going to ask each of you to go through this cleansing process. And that is, I'd ask each of you to reach down to your toes and grab all of those things that say you can't. Grab it. Come on, people. Let's do it. Reach down and raise that and see it come out of you. Release it. Demons be gone. Come on, release. Feel that. Now let that that belief, let that power, let that magic wash over you and cleanse you. Because every day is a new day. You have a power. You have a magic. You have a unicorn waiting to burst forth. And share it with the world. Unlock your unicorn. Thank you.
Well done. That was amazing. Awesome.
Thank you.